I'm sure that Michael Collins could talk basketball if we wanted him to. Michael Collins, ESPN Senior Golf Analyst, huge Eagles fan. Those were the two things we brought you on to talk about. But, if you want to talk basketball, whatever you want, the floor is yours, sir.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. Y'all know I'm a big Sixers fan, but I also got some buddies that play in the NBA for some other teams and have been to a couple Miami Heat game, and so yeah, I'm really rooting for the Miami Heat right now. As a Sixers fan, what's better than seeing Boston having some issues with their team and infighting? Like, that's one of the greatest feelings in the world. And even though I'm rooting against the Lakers, I don't think they can be beat in a 7-game series to make it to the finals. So, man,
all right,
I agree with you that if there's one guy who is going to know something, it would definitely be Eric Spoelstra, but he ain't playing.
So as a Sixers fan, and for people who don't know, Michael is born and bred in this area. As a Sixers fan, how frustrating has it been for you? Because it has been for me to watch the Miami-Boston series, knowing full well you had Tatum if you wanted him, and you had Jimmy Butler.
I don't look at it like that, though. That's the thing.
Jeff does. He can't look past it.
I was ready to cry just watching it.
Nah, because here's the thing. Like, we have Marquez Fultz, right? And let's say Fultz starts with a different team and doesn't come to the Sixers. Does the same thing happen to him? I mean, you have to think about it like almost like the butterfly effect, right? Like, when a player comes to a team, you can't just assume that player is going to be the player that you're watching at the time, because so many other factors are there.
No, I hear you.
When I look at Tatum, it's like Tatum comes to let's say the 76ers take him instead. Does he become the Tatum that we're watching now? No, because he doesn't have the same things happen to him. The same things not around him. So it's great that he's become the player that he's become. Would he have become that player if he would have been picked by the Sixers? Nah.
All right, I'm going to stick to Philly sports before we get to golf. Did you break anything watching the Eagles game on Sunday?
Here's the truth. The truth is, at the end of the third quarter, I turned the TV off and just took my new puppy for a walk because I knew what was coming.
That was a smart move.
You can
turn
see
the TV
it.
off.
Yeah.
I tortured my 3-year-old with it. Poor kid.
I even have a couple of those foam bricks that you can throw at the TV, but it's okay because they're foam. But I would get so mad watching the Eagles right now that I would actually have gone outside and got a real brick. So it's like I'm not even going to pick up the foam ones because I'm just so frustrated in watching how that second half went down.
Well, actually, I have a concern now. You said that you have a new puppy. So was this your new puppy's first experience with watching an Eagles game?
Break him in right.
See, and this is the other thing too. It's my puppy. It's a pit. So as a guy who did stand-up comedy for 20 years, I'm also a big fan of Bill Burr. And I heard Bill Burr's bit about him not realizing that you project onto the dog even though you don't think the dog's paying attention. So if you're sitting there getting all jacked up, cursing at the TV, then you take the dog out for a walk, and the dog's like, is that the dude that made the bad call? I'm going to bite him in the behind. So I'm watching the game, and I'm trying to stay chill as I'm getting frustrated. So when I feel myself boiling, then it's like, you know what, I'm going to turn this off. Come on, let's go play. Because I don't think if little Coconut right now, she's only 10 weeks old, but when she's 10 months old and looks like a full-grown pit, I don't think the excuse, it's not the dog's fault, I was screaming at the TV watching basketball and you look kind of like the ref, is going to work as an excuse.
All right, so you turned the game off at the third quarter.
I did not.
Did you see anything positive out of that game? Are you thinking that the Eagles can turn it around? If you were Doug Peterson, what would you do?
If I'm Doug Peterson, I show them the first quarter and a half. And then, as much as I love Coach, I wasn't crazy about the play calling in the second half either. But it certainly looked like our team definitely could have used at least one preseason game so that the coaching staff would have realized that we might run out of gas. Because we looked like our team had no energy. The Eagles had zero energy left in that fourth quarter. For me as a guy in golf, it's like when your player on Sunday on the back nine has no legs left and he can't swing like he normally does, so you got to figure out a way to get him to the house as quick as possible with doing the least amount of damage to y'all's paychecks.
Yeah, and
so
make
for
sure
the
that
Eagles,
they don't.
It's like, Eagles is turnovers. Maybe sometimes it's smart not to go for it on fourth down and put your defense in a position that they don't necessarily need to be in, where if you pin a team deep instead of giving them the ball inside, the 40-yard line somewhere on either side of the 50, like don't give them a short field. Even though in the past you'd be like, we're going to go for it on fourth down and 4. Sometimes now, early in the season, that ain't the smartest move.
Maybe it's better to throw the ball away and play for another play, not hold on and take the hit.
Yeah, just hold on to the ball. Don't.
Yeah, well, this week it may be a little hard.
And
it may be a little hard with Aaron Donald. So let's not even talk about this week's game. We'll bring it back when things turn around. Let's talk a little golf.
Let me see. I hope next week against the best thing to do against Aaron Donald, since we have guys with some speed now, 3-step slants.
Yes.
You throw enough of those 3-step slants and then stick with the running game so that the play action pass really works. Like, don't do 2 runs in 13 plays. Like, you really got to run it and throw some slants and keep them on their heels. That's how you beat Aaron Donald.
All right. Well, your check will be Jeffrey Lurie's going to put your check in the mail if that works.
ESPN's
I was hanging out with a good friend of his in Atlanta.
Did you give him the tip?
Well, Mr. Blank. See, Mr. Blank Arthur Blank is a member at Eastlake Golf Club, where the Tour Championship was. And so when I met him, the commissioner of the PGA Tour introduced me to him, and I showed Mr. Blank my Eagles tattoo that Coach Doug Peterson designed. And I was hoping he was going to be all mad and disappointed and take a picture. But it turns out he was like, oh, I'm good friends with the owner of your ball club, and he's such a great guy, and that's a great tattoo. And I was like, man, I was kind of hoping you would be all disappointed. But he had nothing but great things to say about Jeffrey Lurie. So now I'm a fan of Arthur Blank, too.
Yeah, well, it's Atlanta. They don't care about their sports that much. Let's talk about golf. Rumor has it there's a big golf tournament this weekend, even though I had tickets but couldn't go. What's going on? What are you seeing from the U.S. Open?
Everyone complained on Thursday that the scores were too good. Justin Thomas shoots 5 under, 66, and it's not right to see guys going that low, or 65. It was like the lowest round ever shot at Winged Foot. 21 guys were under par. Well, guess what? The U.S. Open showed up on Friday. Right now, as we speak, there are only 5 guys under par. And
what
one
happened?
of those guys, Bryson DeChambeau, who was through. Well, the wind came out of a different direction, which really firmed the golf course up. The humidity is down, so the greens got real firm, and the rough is already up. And because of that, with the wind coming out of a different direction, if you're making any mistake on this golf course, it's going to absolutely just brutalize you. Now, the first round, too, the USGA couldn't get crazy because there's 144 guys in the field. And if you remember, we normally play this major championship in June. So they got till 8:30 with daylight. Well, it's September. Sun goes down at 6:25. So daylight's a problem. So the USGA couldn't get crazy with this golf course on Thursday. And even though the golf course played much easier than I'm sure they wanted it to, they still didn't finish. There were still a couple groups that had to come back and play. Well, because now the cut is today and it's top 60 in all ties, the USGA is like, you know what? Forget it. We'll let Winged Foot be Winged Foot today. Mother Nature is going to help us. And if they don't finish, oh well. We got plenty of time tomorrow because there's only, 70 guys at the most. So they'll have plenty of time for daylight playing in twosomes.
A couple of big names didn't go low yesterday. Dustin Johnson shot a 73. Phil Mickelson hit just 2 fairways. It was his highest score in 29 open appearances. And then you got Tiger, who, although he made 5 birdies, was still a +3. Anything surprise you from any of those names? I saw you were pretty blunt about your prediction of Tiger before this tournament started.
Yeah, no, and he is not having a great day again today. Last time I looked before we jumped on the phone, he was at +8. And he was coming off making his second double of the tournament on the 18th hole.
That'll miss the cut, right?
Yeah, it looks like it right now. Like I said, that cut is top 60 in ties, and right now +6 is in 61st place. But they're projecting the cut to go to +7. So Tiger is at +8 and still has 8 more holes to play.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like
this isn't one of those golf courses where you're going to just make like 4 or 5 birdies in a row and everything's good. Nah, this course doesn't give you that.
You know, we've been talking, Michael, we've been talking about Tiger a lot the last few weeks, especially with everything that's going on with athletes using their platform. One of the things, if you remember back in the day, Earl Woods made a lot of promises about Tiger, about saying that Tiger was going to basically transcend the game as a humanitarian, that he was, quote, going to do more than any other man in history to change the course of humanity. We all don't want to be burdened by the expectations of our parent, but do you get a sense that Tiger is using his platform in this time that so many athletes are using it for good and for positive change, that Tiger's doing the same thing?
Well, how many other athletes have the learning center that Tiger has? It's not like, it's a hard thing, man. It's not, you just said it, like, you don't want to put the burden of your parents on you, right? But
right,
it's not like Tiger hasn't done anything. But people are saying, like, they expect Tiger Woods to come out and be Jim Brown. That's when was Tiger ever like that? Ever. So why would people expect that out of him now?
I think
so
mainly it's mainly because people have this expectation that everybody is going to react the same to situations. And it's why I think it's important that you brought that out. I mean, people don't realize that the things that Tiger is doing behind the scenes, and you see things like that, but a lot of people don't know these things because Tiger is not very vocal about them.
Well, you know what? It's two sides of this coin. Number one, there are the side of the coin of people that don't, nothing that Tiger does is going to be good enough. The fact that he has his foundation, the fact that he does do the Tiger Woods Learning Center and really changes lives of a lot of kids, that's never going to be good enough for some people because he's not standing out there and doing things like NFL and NBA players are doing. The other side of that coin is, think about where Tiger came from. Tiger didn't come from the hood. So, like I said, when he first came out onto the PGA Tour, he told about his experiences that happened on the golf course and in golf. But to think that he's going to be this beacon of light for, like, the NBA players that we see out there marching in protest and NFL players that are doing, some of the things that they're doing, there are people that are thinking Tiger's going to be those players. And that, too, isn't a fair expectation to put on somebody who's never been like that. Tiger ain't never lived in a neighborhood that stuff's been burned down, and he certainly don't live there now.
So what does the PGA Tour do to create its own message the way that the NBA does? As you pointed out, it's not the same. People aren't coming from the same circumstances who usually play golf. Golf is something that requires a lot of money, not just the clubs, but practice and all of that stuff. What can the PGA Tour do, or what are they doing?
Sport that actually had it on their books for a long time that African Americans weren't allowed to play. I mean, it's one of the only sports that had it in their rules. So it's taken golf a while to get to where they are. But I can tell you this. The commissioner of the PGA Tour, Jay Monahan, is changing all of that. And the legacy that he's going to leave, what he's doing, working with the APGA and giving kids who weren't exposed and didn't have the opportunity to play golf and then play golf against other kids at a high level and get to that level, it's happening behind the scenes, and it is happening. And the one thing I love about this commissioner too is he's come to me and said, "Look, man, hold my feet to the fire. Keep me honest on stuff. If there's questions that you have or things that you see that you don't think are right or aren't going in necessarily the direction that you think is going to be the best for the game and the best to bring golf to kids who wouldn't have an opportunity otherwise to have golf in their lives, let me know." And he means it when he says it, as far as having an open door policy and wanting to know. And that's important. You know, the big thing with golf, if you really want to get golf to kids in the inner city who don't have an opportunity to play golf, you know what it's all about? It's about transportation. And I know that sounds stupid, but it's true. Golf courses typically aren't in the middle of the city. So you got to get kids to the golf course and get them from the golf course. Having a golf program in a middle class to upper middle class neighborhood and saying, "Hey, anyone can come here and play," that's great to say. But if you can't get the kids to the golf course and from the golf course, then it's all for show. And that's what I've been screaming for years.
And it's important that everybody be able to use their platform, and we appreciate the fact that you're using your platform to create a better group of people and outcomes with regard to the PGA. But before we let you go, I
just want people to love the game the way I love the game.
Well, before we let you go, there's one other person that you have to keep his feet to the fire. And last time you were here, we talked about the fact that you had a bet with somebody, or you had a deal with somebody that if the Eagles won the Super Bowl, you were both going to get tattoos. Last time we checked, you got the tattoo. That's right. Have you held his feet to the fire yet?
Does Nagandi have a tattoo
now?
now?
And he still ain't got the tattoo.
Oh, got to work on that. Got to work on that.
That's what I said. By the time he gets the tattoo, he's going to have to get 2 trophies on. Or at least
well, I'd be okay with that.
The trophy's going to have dust on it or something. But I will give him this. He's the one who brings it up now. I did the Frozen. I just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. But now every time we talk, he's like, "Man, I'm serious. We got to figure out when I can go get this tattoo."
Well,
so
the fact
that he stayed on top of it and wanted to do it. But don't worry. When it happens, I will be there with him, and then I will be documenting it on Instagram and Twitter. And I'm sure we'll probably put it on SportsCenter too.
We'll have you back on for a report of how that went. We always have a blast when you come on. Hope that the Eagles give us something better for this week. Hope you get to see some great golf, even if some great golfers struggle at Wingfoot. Thanks so much for the time, as always, Michael.
Anytime, man. Everyone who was hoping to see absolute devastation at the U.S. Open, I want to see guys get punished. Well, watch the U.S. Open because they're being punished.
We will put the U.S. Open back on for everybody after they finish listening to the show. Thanks so much, Michael.
Anytime. Thanks, guys.